So Tory Lanez just came out with this Chixtape 5 joint, man. And I got to say, I got a lot of respect for this whole concept that he's doing here, as it seems to be the ultimate conclusion of the whole Chixtape series that he's doing on this one particular joint. And how he's piecing it all together, and on paper it should have been much better than what it actually is. Like, my whole issue with this project is the fact that the execution of these particular songs just simply wasn't there. But to gather a complete understanding of why I feel this way, first we gotta jump into the basic understanding of what the Chixtape series ultimately was. Like, the beginning of the Chixtape series was ultimately Tory Lanez showcasing the fact that he is a versatile artist that could rap and could sing and was really good at it while he was hungry trying to build up. Well, those were my favorite projects out of the whole series, the first and second one. But then as the project begun to evolve, it became more of what we see now, where it's a paying homage project to 90s and 2000s hip-hop R&B classic joints. And I get it. In this game, if you're not updating and evolving, then you will tend to lose relevancy. And this is because people's attention span is so brief that you gotta constantly show them the next thing, constantly move forward, try to do your best with music to get it to where it's at now, in which this Chixtape 5 is him trying to do this whole homage thing on the highest level that all those who's trying to duplicate him really can't do, because not only is he still sampling these joints and he got the money to clear these samples right now, but on top of that, now he's featuring the particular artists that he's paying homage to on these joints, which most people ain't got the money to bring in these acts to do that. And given that these songs are classic joints and he's getting the cosign from the people that were on the songs, like, you could see that this could have been really good. But the execution of it just simply wasn't there. And you know what this reminds me of? Wale's album About Nothing. Because if you guys remember his classic mixtape, More About Nothing, he was sampling all of Seinfeld and all of this, and he created a classic mixtape out of it. But yet, when he got his money up, he went and invested and got Jerry Seinfeld himself to do comedy on top of particular songs that he was doing for the album About Nothing, which happened years later. And just because he had Jerry Seinfeld on it instead of sampling, it didn't make it any better than what the original was, because simply he just wasn't hungry enough at the time. Just like how Tory Lanez isn't hungry enough right now to create a dope Chixtape, period. And to be real with you, this whole concept of just making renditions of classic songs and stuff, you're pretty much just making your own remixes of it. I look at it like if I went out and made some chicken, and I didn't eat all the chicken the first day or whatever, so I put it in the refrigerator and tried to heat it up and make sandwiches like a couple days and stuff later. It's not going to be as good as when it was when it came out fresh out the oven, you feel me? And that's ultimately the core flaw within this entire concept. These songs that he's making will never be as good as the original classic songs that were known for that time period and stuff, but yet he's still going to pay homage to it and hope that it could reach that level, but oftentimes it doesn't happen that way. And given that Tory Lanez is a shell of his former self right now, man, when it comes to musically, because he simply just isn't putting in the effort necessary to do anything amazing anymore, this was going to constantly be a disappointment to begin with. But when you look at these individual joints, you'd be like, man, how could you have messed this up? Like when he got Snoop Dogg on his Beautiful rendition, but the way that production came in, it kind of sabotaged the whole thing. Like, Beautiful was one of my favorite songs from Snoop Dogg, including some of his super earlier works, you dig? Like, that entire project, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss, was one of my favorites. And that song in particular, especially that video, was dope. And what Tory Lanez did to that was super disappointing. He had Chris Brown on Take You Down. He had T-Pain on that Sprung joint that he made a remix of. He had Luda on a joint that he had 2 samples on there, which neither of them actually worked. It came off as a bit of a mess, and Luda really disappointed on that verse as well. He had The Dream on that falsetto joint. He had Maya on the Best of You renditions and stuff, man. And you know, maybe if he had a better producer who was sampling these and making them into more true remixes than just samples that they threw these particular artists on. It could have been better, but I'm not holding my breath here because, yet again, I'm telling you, Tory Lanez is all but washed up because he's just not hungry enough to deliver the music that he needs to deliver. And trust me, that really hurts me to say because I've been a fan of Tory Lanez since the very beginning, but I've noticed a steady fall from him for some years now, and this could have been the project to bring him all the way back, but it's not. Honestly, my favorite songs off this would be the original ones that he didn't have anybody on there, that Broken Promises, that Yes Sir. And I mean, the Trade was cool too, that had Jagged Edge and stuff on there, but ultimately it's more of the original aspects of it that I'm leaning more towards than his actual renditions and remixes of these particular classic songs. But how do I know that this is set up to be the last Chixtape right here? Just based on the story that he's delivering. Because, you know, these Chixtape stories that he be giving, they usually be convoluted stories of him dealing with these particular women and the stress and how they all fall apart and things of that nature you did. But he somewhat summed it up at the end when he delivered the Chixtape to her, that was ultimately saying that these are all the events and relationships that he had to live through in order to create the first Chixtape. And then from there, we know the rest of the stories because that's when the Chixtapes and all of that stuff began. So he set it up for it to end here, but will it though? These stories that no one really cares about that he's talking about in these projects, they probably will end here. There is a possibility that he'll continue the Chixtape series depending on how popular it continues to get. But yet something's going to change after this one, clearly, if he does not just abandon this whole concept and move on to something else in general. Overall, it's a decent project that I really like the thought process behind. It's lacking in the musical department, where I would much rather have a dope project about nothing at all than a project where you got the most thought process behind it, that is connecting the dots, is concluding everything, but yet the music in it ain't amazing. That's why I'm giving this one, man, a 4 out of 10. Still one you should peep out though. I hope you enjoyed the show. You can follow me at Twitter up there, and you can go to downloadpass.com, that's down there, to read today's article.